Hey, it's Brian from Codependency No More. I'm glad to be back with you again. And this time I'm coming to you from sunny Las Vegas. And I'm here for a convention with my wife, but I wanted to take a couple minutes here in my hotel room to shoot another special video for you. And in this video, I want to share with you the trick that I promised you in the last video. But before we do that, I want to address a couple questions that some of you asked after our last video was over.
One popular question was, I understand shame can cause codependency, but what else can you say about shame? How can I get past my shame? Well, when we feel ashamed of something, there's an unconscious belief of inferiority. We assume that other people can see right through us, right into all of our little imperfections and shameful secrets. That's where the ideal self comes in, the perfect version of ourselves we try to become. We create the ideal self to cope with our shame. And you'll hear therapists talk about the inner critic, which is a direct result of this phenomenon. Our inner critic insists that we conform to who it thinks we should be and how it thinks we should feel. So since codependents can't function authentically due to shame, they organize thinking and behavior around another person. Now naturally, we want to get over our shame. So here are some things that you could do. Take a personal inventory to see where your shame comes from. Look at the relational patterns within your family of origin. Consider what shameful messages you received as a child. Explore the shameful messages and see how valid they are. Record what triggers your feelings of shame. Invent new responses to your shame triggers and practice them anytime you feel shame. This can be a difficult process. You can do a lot of work on your own, and many people even use counseling to help overcome shame. Another question was, I only have codependency issues around cold or distant people whom I feel are judging me. Is it possible that codependency can be an environmental issue? The answer is yes. This is normal codependent behavior. If this sounds like you, it suggests that you're aligned with the approval seeker codependency schema. We'll actually talk a little more about schemas in general in the next video, but the approval seeker schema tends to go along with popular opinion. It looks outward to see who's watching and is motivated to boost self-esteem. Approval seekers often think, did I do well? Am I funny or interesting? Does this person like or approve of me? They want to be liked, applauded, and recognized.
Now, in our last video, we discussed a question that a lot of people want to know the answer to. Am I codependent? And if so, why am I like this? To quickly sum it up, if you have a habit of assuming responsibility to meet the needs of other people to the exclusion of your own, and you're enmeshed in a relationship where you feel your boundaries are distorted, and/or if you have anxiety around intimacy and separation, then you're likely suffering from codependency issues. And although it isn't always the case, codependents often suffer abuse and are often intertwined in relationships with impulse-disordered individuals or people with addiction problems. Again, that's not always the case. Codependency happens for a number of reasons, frequently involving a separation of self, which can be due to various inner child issues, a traumatic experience, or an invalidating upbringing. As a result, we create an alter ego, a perfect version of ourselves that we think we're supposed to be, and then we try to become that person. And due to the emptiness that we feel from not being adequate, we distract ourselves from that discomfort by putting our focus on something external, often another person, someone that we see as needing our help, or maybe someone that we want validation from. Now, not only have I experienced codependency in my own life, but I also regularly talk to and help people who are struggling with similar issues. I also connect with experts who provide guidance, support, and steps towards healing from codependency. And I want to share with you one of the most important foundational skills that codependents need in order to start having healthier, happier, more fulfilling relationships. Now, this key could be labeled a lot of different things. I'm going to call it cognizance. It's consciousness, knowingness. A popular term you might hear is mindfulness. It's the self-awareness that's the first building block to disrupting your negative behavior patterns. You remember in the first video how we said that codependents tend to have issues with self-deception and even denial? Well, this happens when we're not fully grounded in the reality of the present moment. Our decision-making is impeded when we're not dealing with all the facts, or the facts are being clouded by something else. It's like a jury trying to decide on a verdict without all the facts of the case. The ultimate decision may not be accurate. Cognizance gives you immediate visibility into the reality of your current situation. It removes the barrier for you to be in tune with yourself, your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. But not only that, you can become more adept at recognizing what's happening around you, things like manipulation, deception, or even threats by other people. Cognizance lets you more calmly and clearly assess whether or not a request from another person is valid, whether or not your own urges should be acted upon, and where the boundary line should be in the circumstances you find yourself in. What if you had a new superpower? The power to be clear and confident in your thoughts, words, and decisions. The power to never be manipulated by another person again. The power to say no to something when you really don't want to do it, and to actually be respected for it. Being cognizant and mindful is the first step to getting closer to that power. Now, of course, we'll never achieve perfection, but being more mindful will quickly take us in the right direction. What usually happens when you find yourself in a tense situation? Well, if you're watching this video, I'm willing to bet that you probably have an autopilot response of either giving into a request or a coercion, or trying to control another person or situation by taking some action to help or rescue. Your autopilot response is just that. It's automatic. And if your natural inclination and habits are betraying you, then being more mindful will help you start to react more appropriately. So try this next time you're in a tense situation. First, excuse yourself and remove yourself completely from the situation that you're in. Second, evaluate the situation by separating your emotions from the facts, and then formulate a healthy, logical response. You can even phone a friend if you need to help you evaluate the situation more objectively. And third, re-enter the situation and respond according to the plan you put together. I'll bet that after you do this the first time successfully, you'll feel better about yourself and you'll feel more confident and capable. Now here's the beauty about cognizance or mindfulness. It allows you to speed up the steps of this process. You'll be able to process through your emotions almost instantaneously and be very clear and confident about the way you conduct yourself. So here are some ways to start being more mindful. You can start with a simple meditation. Put a pillow on the floor and sit down cross-legged. Or sit on the edge of a chair or couch, but sit straight up and don't rest your back. Focus your entire attention on your respiration, the area between your upper lip and your nostrils. When your attention wanders away, simply refocus it back on the breath. Try this for about 10 or 15 minutes at a time. Now this is much easier said than done, but it's a great way to start gaining more control over your mind through focus. You can also try guided meditations. It can be a little easier to meditate when you're taking cues from someone else. Another way to be more mindful is to take a time out several times a day to scan your body for feeling. Put attention on each area of the body one at a time, starting from the top of the head, working down to the tips of the toes, and then back up again. And if it's difficult to focus, you can even tense the muscles in each part of the body as you go. Another great but often dismissed way of practicing mindfulness is by starting an emotions journal. Take time out each day, particularly after a tense situation, to write down your thoughts and feelings about that situation. This forces you to put your emotion into words that you can identify with and become more cognizant of yourself. Those are 3 ways you can start practicing mindfulness. And if this seems elementary, remember, the whole point is to simply start being more aware of yourself and others, and to be able to more quickly find peace and mental clarity through focus. Other skills will build on top of this one. So what are some of the other skills you'll need to kick codependency? Well, in my next video, I'll be discussing negative behavior patterns, the anatomy of those moments that spark your codependent thoughts and behaviors. We'll discuss how you can start recognizing those moments and what you can do about them. In the meantime, what are you going to do? Are you serious about having healthier, happier relationships? Use the comment section below this video to make a proclamation stating what you've already done and what you still plan to do in order to love and depend on yourself more, to relax and know that you are good enough. I'm Brian Pizer from Codependency No More, and I'll see you in a couple days.